All right, guys, time to start pulling the freaking engine out. All right, guys, so got the motor out, and I noticed that the intake manifold's a little bit different on this new motor versus the old motor. So I'm gonna take the entire intake manifold and put it on that motor. But everything seems to be going pretty smooth so far. I'm freaking filthy. Got freaking grease out of the damn drive shaft all over me. But everything seems to be going smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and swap the intake manifold, get my wiring switched over, get the timing belt put on here. I don't think I'm gonna pull this thing all the way apart, because I'm just gonna try and fix this one that I just pulled out. See if I can fix the power steering pulley or power steering pump, and then replace a couple timing covers that I need, and replace the power steering pump. And then this is still a good motor, so I don't want to, I'd like to try and keep as much possible intact on this engine. So that's the approach I'm going to take. So we'll see how it works out. All right, guys, it's kind of dark out here, but it's the next morning. I've got the intake manifold off, got both turbo and exhaust manifolds off. So all the turbos and everything are off. I'm going to go ahead and pull my thermostat housing and thermostat out of here when I get off of work today, and separate the transmission. Then I'm going to start tearing this motor apart and getting it ready to put in there, hoping to have this motor in there and running by this weekend. So we'll see how it turns out. What's up, guys? So I got a mess on my hands out here. I've been working on the Audi, got the motor out, got the transmission separated from the engine. That's my original engine sitting over there. This is the engine that I bought, and I cleaned it up a little bit, but this thing, I mean, it was full of freaking rust inside the cylinder walls. And you can see it in there. So I don't know. I'm really freaking aggravated. There, yeah, in there. That's how I took this thing apart. That's how it looked. So I'm gonna try and clean it up and oil it up and see what it does. But I don't even know if this freaking motor's any good. So I'll see what I can do. I'm not gonna freaking pull the damn bottom end apart. I'll just buy another damn engine before I do that. Because my plan is to fix how the power steering mounts on this engine and get it working again. Then I'll tear this one apart and do a full build on it. Do different rods, crank, probably stroke it out. Probably do 2.8 liter heads, and I mean probably build an actual motor. But for right now, I want to use that as a stopgap until I can get this one figured out and fixed. I thought this one was going to be pretty straightforward. I thought it was a running engine, but I did a compression test on it, and I wasn't getting compression on two of the cylinders, and I opened it up and they were full of rust, and the valves on the heads were rusted up. So I don't know. I may have to use the heads off of my original engine on here. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, but that's where I'm at right now. Got both engines completely disassembled. This one's, it's not completely disassembled. This one's still, the heads and the block are together, and it's still got the time belt on it and everything. But I have a feeling old buddy lied to me about the fact that all he was doing was a timing belt on this motor, because I'm seeing a lot more issues. Almost every bolt that I touched to take the head off was already loose. The only bolts that weren't loose were the head bolts. But the manifold was only being held on by two nuts that were stripped out. The heads were completely ruined on them. The other manifold, every bolt was loose on that. every intake manifold bolt was loose. The water pump crossover pipe on the back of the heads wasn't even tight. So, I mean, somebody was planning on rebuilding this motor and then stopped for some reason. So, I'm going to clean it up and throw some head gaskets on it and probably throw my old heads on here and see if I get compression. If I don't get compression, then I'll have to find another engine. So just wanted to give you that update. All right, guys. So as I'm waiting for new gasket set for the for my replacement engine, I'm cleaning up the cylinder walls and getting the heads cleaned up and everything. But while I'm waiting for the gaskets, I'm going to go ahead and finish working on these fenders and try and get these things molded in a little bit better. So I'm going to just show you what progress I get done with these. But I'm getting ready to sand down the fenders. I'll mix up some Bondo, lay the Bondo down, let it cure, and then come back and sand it. See what else I need to do. May have to do another layer of Bondo. Probably going to take me about 2 or 3 layers of Bondo, doing skim coats just to get it to where I want it. And I got to try and feather the line out on the front of the fender. So that's what I'm going to try and showcase what I'm doing here. I don't know if it's going to work because, like I said in my previous video, I am not a body man at all. I'm a mechanic, but I'm willing to try any freaking job that I think I can do, and I think I can do this. So every other time I've had somebody else do it, this time I'm doing it myself. So we're going to see how it goes. All right, guys. So it's a little messy out here because I'm still working on the motor and whatnot, but got the driver's side fender sanded down. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe it down with some grease and wax remover, and then I'm going to mix up my Bondo and put a thin layer on here. I'm going to try and get rid of this edge right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the Bondo down this way, and then I'll do a layer. I'll try and skim it this way so that I get rid of that lip. I want to go from top to bottom instead of from bottom to top, because if I go from bottom to top, I'm going to pull the Bondo and it's going to it's just going to keep that lip there. It'll just work it a little bit instead of getting rid of it altogether. And then here I'm going to go sideways across it, and then I'll do a batch down. I'm hoping that that's how it's going to work, but like I said, I've never done body work as a profession, so sometimes it works the way I think it's going to, sometimes it doesn't, but it needs to be completely prepped. I mean, prep work is the absolute most important thing from everything that every auto body guy that I've ever talked to. Prep work is the most important thing. So I'm going to make sure I get all my prep work done as good as possible. See, I still got to continue sanding because I still have some primer on here. Really where I'm going to put the Bondo, it needs to be bare metal. So I'm going to try and get in here and get rid of some more of this primer. This I'm not really worried about down here. I just wanted to scuff it up so that when I do put the primer on here, it will actually stick. All I'm really concerned about is from like right here and then down, because only really where I'm going to have the Bondo and where I'm going to feather it out into the rest of the car. So I really hope this turns out the way I was planning, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys, so all I'm going to use is some wax and tar remover. Use a fresh terry cloth that I bought when I got the wax and grease remover. So I'm just soak the damn thing down and wipe your area that you're going to be working on. All right. And now you're supposed to have a non-porous surface to mix your Bondo on, and pretty hard non-porous surface. And I usually use a cutting board when I've done this in the past, but my wife would probably hang me if I tried to use one of her cutting boards. So I'm gonna use this, and then I'll go up and buy a little cheap cutting board later this afternoon. But I'm going to use this for the time being, just for this video, because I'm only going to show the couple steps that I do. I'm not going to show me doing the whole crap, because I think that'd be boring. But make sure you got a clean surface to mix your Bondo on. I'm just using the regular Bondo. They do have fiberglass filler, and then they have the gold glass filler. I thought about doing the gold, but I'm just gonna try my hand at this. So let me get some more stuff ready. And I bought all these supplies at Walmart. I bought a sanding block, some sandpaper, a detail sander with sandpaper, automotive primer, Bondo, and grease and wax remover. And I want to say it was like 50 bucks for everything. So not that bad. I don't think I have a screwdriver out here, but I got a key for work that I can use. I've made the mistake in the past of mixing up way too much of this stuff at one time. Don't do that, because you wind up wasting it. So I'm just gonna mix up a little bit, just enough to do right here and right here. And I hope that I don't waste any. Okay, to be honest, this may be a little bit too much, but it's been a while since I've done Bondo. Oh shit, another freaking bee in my face. It's been a while since I've had to do any Bondo, so I'm gonna be a little bit cautious with this. So and all I'm trying to do is mix the hardener in with the Bondo. And I'm probably not doing this correct, but all I have to go on is using the instructions off the Bondo. So it just says mix thoroughly. I know you're probably not supposed to be getting the air bubbles in here, but if you spread it thin enough on the car, you should be able to get the air bubbles out. All right, so it looks like that's pretty good as far as it's mixed up. So now, and I should probably have taped the car off, but it'll be all right. I probably need to move this camera, but I don't want to run out of working time with my Bondo. So shit. So not my best work, but not as bad as the first time I did it either. So I think I am getting better. And that's like I said earlier, this is just the first coat. I'm gonna sand probably a majority of this off, just to get it to level out. And then once I get it to level out, then I'll do a skim coat to balance everything out. This is a lot of compound angles. This is really awkward. Most of the time when I'm doing Bondo, it's on freaking flat surfaces. So this is a little bit new compared to what I've done in the past. But I think I should be able to follow the contours pretty good. All right, so that looks like I've built it up pretty good. I'm gonna wait and let that dry, and then I'll sand it down and see what it looks like after I get a little feather action going on it and see how it does. But I'm gonna let this dry. After this dries, this Bondo will just snap off of there. This is flexible enough to where when you flex it, the Bondo will snap off, and you can just peel it off and reuse this. All right, guys, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stop working on the car. I gotta go to a birthday dinner for my, good God, that's gonna make everybody seasick. I can't do that to y'all. All right, so I have to, God, that's not any better. I gotta go up to the north side of Atlanta for a birthday dinner with my wife and her parents and my kids and everybody. So I'm gonna try and do a little bit more work when I get back. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough daylight to work on it when I get back, but I'm gonna try and see. So I don't know, we'll see where it gets, but I'm hoping to be able to get the fender, that driver's side fender, completely finished and feathered in while I'm waiting for the parts for the gaskets for the other engine, because I ordered new head gasket set, new head bolts, and new timing set. And I'm still debating on whether I'm going to have to use the freaking heads off of my other engine, which I kind of don't want to use the driver's side head because that one got hit during the accident. So I don't know. I cleaned up the heads a little bit. I really haven't cleaned up the block that much. I mean, I wiped the rust out of it, and I put some oil on the cylinders so they wouldn't rust anymore. But I'm gonna see what I can do with the engine and give an update on that next week, because that's my main focus. I've been piddling with the Nissan here and there, and the Nissan, I've checked compression on it. I've pulled the upper timing cover off and checked timing to make sure both of the cams are still in series, and they're lining up. The crankshaft pulley's lining up with the timing mark down at the bottom. So it's in time. It runs fine when it runs. I still have not replaced the mass airflow sensor, either of the O2 sensors. But I think I'm going to, honestly, I really don't know what I'm going to do with that car. I'm going to keep messing with it, and hopefully I'll figure out what it is. But I'm still kind of leaning towards an injection problem. I just can't figure out what would be the injection problem, because I've got plenty of fuel pressure up at the fuel rail, but I've replaced my 170,000 mile injectors with 60,000 mile injectors, and there's no guarantee that those injectors are any better than the ones that I had. And it's a random misfire, and I mean, it's not all the time, so it's very weird. But it's a random cylinder misfire, so it's hitting on all cylinders are missing at random periods. So I don't know if it's a bad ground or something. I'm gonna start putting a ground kit on the motor and see if that helps. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff that I've been seeing online about these things having ground issues. So I'm gonna try and eliminate that as a possibility first. But to get back to the Audi, like I say, hopefully I'll have more work done on these on this fender before I publish this video. But if not, understand that I had other commitments this weekend, so family takes a higher priority over doing vehicle work. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I just want it to be known that I hate sanding. All right, guys, I don't know how well this is going to show, but you can see where I just sanded it out until it feathered in. There's no high spots on this part, so it actually feels like this part's pretty good. I got a little bit of a low spot right here, and then I've got a couple little pits. You can see little pits right in here, right there, and some in here. But this right here is excessively low. That's where the seam is. And then you can also see right here, it's a little low. So I'm gonna put another layer on top of this lower section right here, and I'm gonna skim these little pinholes, let it dry, and then I'll sand it again. But I'm probably not gonna have this in this video. So, but you just keep working at it until you get to where you don't feel any high spots or low spots going across here. I was told that when you're sanding, make sure you do long strokes so that it blends in with the entire panel, because like I can actually feel a low spot right there from doing a long stroke across it. So I actually may build up this a little bit further. And the other thing is that I've been told is make sure that you don't concentrate in one area too much to get it to blend in, which I was having to do right here. I don't know if you noticed that in the time lapse, but I'm having a real tough time with this because it's kind of rolled. So I'm gonna build this up a little bit more so that I can feather it out a little bit better. But I'm gonna wipe it down with a grease and wax remover, let it dry, and then put another layer on here. All right, guys, second coat's applied. I'm gonna let it dry. I'll come back out here in about a half hour and start sanding it again. All right, guys, so had to stop doing the sanding. It started pouring down rain on me. I don't know if it picked it up in the time lapse, but I stayed out there as long as I could. But it started getting so wet, all it was doing was making that Bondo ball up, and it was getting stuck in the sandpaper and just was not turning out good. So I'm gonna wait and let it dry out. I was really not planning on it raining today. Said it wasn't supposed to rain, but I don't know what to make of this weather in Georgia anymore. But that's going to conclude this video. I'm going to work on finishing that fender and finishing the other fender. And I'll give a update in the next video. I'll show the next couple steps that I do concerning the fenders. And then that should also include what I'm doing for the wiring for the headlights, because I've got the headlight switch and I've got the headlight sockets, but I still have to get one of the computers, and I still have to run one wire from that new computer up to the headlight switch, or not the switch, but to the headlight sockets themselves. So hopefully I'll be able to cover that in the next video. I know I'm going to cover what the next steps on the fenders are, and probably it'll include putting the engine back in the car and showing it actually running again. So then the only thing that would prevent me from driving it would be finishing the front end conversion. Now I have not ordered the RS front bumper like I want to yet. I have a feeling what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm probably going to wind up using the silver bumper that I have right now and just make do with it for a couple weeks, at least until I can get that Nissan going and figure out what's wrong with it, because it's, I don't know. My son-in-law just arrived yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, 10 o'clock at night. So, he's here now. Him and my daughter don't have a vehicle to travel around in while he's here for the next 30 days. So I got to try and get something done. Because if I get the Audi done, I'm going to let him drive the Renegade. If I get the Nissan running, then that's the car that I was trying to get him running for him anyway. So hopefully I'll have the Nissan running and I can go get rid of the Renegade instead of having them drive it. But that's where I'm at now. So hope you enjoyed what you saw in this video. I am starting to get a little leery of people on freaking Facebook Marketplace. This is so far twice in these videos that you guys have seen where I've made bad purchases off of Marketplace, and it's partially my fault. Not gonna say that I'm not to blame for part of it, but I think the part of blame that falls on me is this: I'm just too trusting, because apparently you can't take anybody for their word any freaking more. Nobody seems to be honest about what they're trying to sell anymore. Everybody's trying to sell garbage. I mean, and I have no problem buying an engine that has problems and needs to be rebuilt, but I don't want to pay a price for an engine that runs when I got to tear the damn thing apart and completely rebuild it. That defeats the purpose of buying a running engine. I mean, if I wanted to buy a damn junk engine, I'd go to the junkyard and pull one. Yeah, I want one that I know is going to run. That was the whole premise in buying this motor from this guy, and I'm really pissed off. I mean, really pissed off about this. But the guy seemed really honest. He seemed really nice. And usually I'm a pretty good judge of character, but, I mean, here lately, these people on Marketplace are, I don't know, man. I'm getting to where I just don't freaking trust people anymore. And it sucks, because I have a pretty good faith in humanity, but, I mean, people are testing it constantly. Just be honest with people. That drives me absolutely batshit crazy. I hate when people freaking lie to me about used equipment or used tools or used engines or things like that. Be honest with me. Don't freaking try and oversell it. Don't try and freaking quadruple your money for some piece of garbage. If it's a piece of garbage, tell me. I may still buy it. But don't fucking charge me regular price for a piece of garbage that you know is a piece of garbage. That really pisses me off. Now, I'm taking you at your word. And then, I mean, and apparently nowadays a man's word means nothing, which is sad. It's extremely sad, because in the business that I work in machine repair, my name is everything. I mean, and that goes with any service tech. If you get a bad name in the service industry, nobody's going to want you to come back and work on their stuff. Nobody's going to want you to even be around them, just because they don't trust you. And that's being a man of your word, being a man of honor, owning up to your mistakes, owning up to your responsibilities, being honest and straightforward with people. And that is something that is severely lacking in society today, and it really pisses me off. And I really wish that I could see a little bit more honesty and trustworthiness in people, regardless of who you are. This is not for white people, black people, Asian, Hispanics. I mean, it's anybody. Freaking be a person of honor. I'm so sick of this dishonesty and just greed and corruption, and it's ridiculous. Everybody's trying to help out everybody else, except for you sleazeballs that are trying to take advantage of other people. And be honest. That's all I ask. I'm sorry to go on this rant, but it really, really irritates me with the level of dishonesty that's happening on Facebook Marketplace. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I could make a freaking 2-hour video about the bullshit that I've seen on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm not going to. Just be honest if you're selling stuff on there, and if you're buying stuff on there, don't be afraid to ask tough questions, because that's what's gotten me the last 2 transactions that I've made on marketplaces. I've taken their word, and I've trusted them rather than testing them. And I shouldn't have to test them, but now I guess that's what I have to do for every transaction now. When it comes to anything that I'm buying used, is I'm going to have to freaking test and prod and poke and get as much information as I can on whatever I'm purchasing, because nobody's freaking honest anymore. But whatever, I digress. If you guys like what you saw in this video, please, like always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let your friends see what I'm doing. I'm hoping to start working on the Veloster after I get the Audi and the Nissan squared away. So I have not forgot about the Veloster. I've already been taking measurements and figuring out what chassis I can use for it and whatnot. So I'm going to include all of my pre-planning steps in a video, so that you can see a thought process that I go through when I'm making a custom project car. But I'll go into greater depth when I get to that point. That'll probably be several weeks down the road, because I don't want to bore you with a bunch of crap concerning that now, when I'm just going to cover it again. Hope you like what you saw in this video. Have a wonderful day.